biometry, what are we looking to measure for biometry? You guys know?
Yes.
BPD, head circumference, abdominal circumference, femur, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
So here we are up at the head. Actually, so we're at the head. We see the CSP, we see the falx, the thalmi, and right in here would be our lateral ventricle, right? So those are our landmarks that we want for biometry. So we're gonna do our calc, and then we do our BPD. We do at the widest point, right? Through the thalmi. And then we do our head circumference. I usually just put my caliper right where my other caliper was. So here's one thing that I should mention that I think I mentioned last time to a couple of students. So sometimes your head isn't going to be perfectly shaped, right? So we're gonna have a lot of undercompensation here, but we have a little bit of overcompensation here, a little bit of undercompensation here, and a little bit of over here, right? So that's okay as long as we're still measuring around the skull. What I don't want for under and overcompensation is something like this. Well, I'm overcompensating here and undercompensating here. It's like, no, no, no. If I'm gonna undercompensate and overcompensate, it's just going to be ever so slightly, maybe a little bit messed up here and a little bit missed here, but we're overcompensating here because no skull is gonna be perfectly shaped like that, right? So a little bit of over and under compensation is okay. We don't want it to be like I said, overcompensation, undercompensation, something like that. We want to still at least try to be around the skull as best as we can, and might have a little overcompensation.
Real quick, is this the lateral ventricle with the echogenic line?
Yep. So our lateral ventricle would be right in this area here. Again, not the best that we can see on these eggs, but it's there, and we would measure right in there. So if I go live, let me go up on the baby. So these would be like our, so right here, this is our little cerebellum coming in here. We don't want to take a picture when we of a head measurement with the cerebellum in there, right? Because then we're too far back. So if we have this in our measurement, we're too far back in the back of the brain. We want to keep our CSP, and we want to bring our probe up so we can get everything in there. No cerebellum, okay? So this is too high because all we see is midline falx. Okay, so we're gonna scan down, baby. And we're gonna try to get our AC measurement, right? So unfortunately on this baby, we don't have a umbilical vein, but we see our stomach. These are our spine ossifications. We have our ribs here. So we want to make sure our ribs are trying to be symmetric on either side. We don't want to have like, it's hard to get these like wonky. See how there's these little breaks in the ribs here? We don't want to have those breaks because that means we're going a little bit oblique on the baby. We want to be as transverse as we can on the abdomen, and we want to try to get those ribs nice and cohesive on either side. Do you see that? No breaks in there. So when we measure around the abdominal circumference, you just put your calipers. We want to include all the fat, right? But this one doesn't have a ton of fat on it. So that would be like our abdominal circumference there. So we're outside. Okay. So now we're just cruising along down baby still, stomach. We're coming down to, this is not our femur, this is our little sit bone, right? Some people will try to measure that as the femur. We want to go a little bit lower still and come up to our femur here. When I scan a little bit differently than Shay. I think Shay likes you guys to really optimize your image, right? So like femur. For me, when I scan at work, I like to give a little bit of context to my image. So like I can see that this is like a baby's bottom and femur here. But whoops, again, it's your preference. I'm not gonna mark you, I'm not gonna be like, no, that's wrong if you're super zoomed. With femur, we want to try to get it as horizontal as we can across the screen, and we're scanning from obviously blunt end to blunt end. So we want to make sure that we're elongating that femur as best as we can, and I just put my little crosshairs right on the blunt end there for the femur length, okay? So for femur, you want to make sure you're not getting it like maybe you're thinking that's the femur. We want to elongate that bone all the way so we're getting it blunt end to blunt end. Okay? So we have little femur, lower leg here, foot, little foot, other little foot, it's a boy. So biometry is pretty easy. I mean, obviously it's going to take getting a hang of scanning on this egg, right? But you guys should know your landmarks by now, and so it's just practicing kind of getting lined up properly and then scanning. And then I usually start at the head, so that way I just kind of scan down baby, and then I can get to the stomach, and I just keep scanning down baby, and I can get to the femur. Okay? Any questions for biometry?
Can you show me how to? Can you show me how to see the boy? See in the between the feet.
Yeah.
You can see the boy, right?
I'll tell you that. And then what were you saying?
Sorry, what?
Shay had on the list humerus length.
Oh, okay. First, I'm going to answer Flora's question. She asked how to tell the genitalia. So we're just going to come all the way between the legs. So here's the baby's bladder, so we know we're getting between the legs, right?
Oh, bladder.
And then
in
that's
front. Okay.
boy parts. For humerus length, what I would do is from the head. So head, and then I'm going to come down, and I'm going to see the base of baby's spine here, and I'm going to just get, however this arm is, baby's humerus right off of the base of the spine. So from the neck, you can start to see the baby's little shoulder here. You're just going to elongate that bone out to get the humerus. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you just elongate it out, blunt end to blunt end. She's not making you do like all the long bones, right? Just
No.
Okay. This baby's like humerus bone is like crooked.
Strong.
There.
And then is there a specific spot that you want part to be?
she wants that for biometry.
You mean included in biometry?
Yeah.
No, just do it. Usually, if it were me scanning, because I like to do efficiency, I would start at the head, right? Then I would come and I would do the humerus. As I'm coming down, I see the heart next. I would take a heart rate. Then I come down and I see the stomach. I would take a femur or a abdominal circumference, and then I'd come down and I can see the femur. So for me, I like to go in order. So I would just do from head to toe or from leg up.
And it doesn't have to be angled in any particular direction.
For heart?
Yeah.
No. So that's a 4-chamber heart there. And then you could just mode through that, update, and just give it a heart rate. This is a fast heart rate. Baby has tachycardia. Any other questions for you guys for
For
biometry?
the OFD, right? Is that what it's called? Yeah, for the OFD, could you show where it calculates?
So for the OFD, it's the occipital frontal diameter. So we have our head measurement here. So all you're doing for the OFD is you're going basically across with the midline bones.
Okay.
Yeah, outer to outer.
Yeah, but it just calculates it for you.
And can you explain how, what's the two different ones? What's under and over for the occipital one?
Oh, for the cephalic index?
Yes, yes.
So if you have a cephalic index that is under, so you have a small BPD and a bigger head circumference, that's dolichocephalic. And then if you have like a more round head, so like a wider BPD and a smaller head circumference, it would be brachycephalic.
I thought the occipital one was the up and down one, not the side to side.
Oh no, occipital frontal is from just, you would literally just go right down the midline folds here, outer to outer.
And when you were drawing it like up and down, I
Oh, the
thought that
biparietal? Or is that what you're thinking of,
Yeah,
Maggie?
the
The biparietal one
That was the
from
one I was
here
drawing
to
up
here.
and down.
was- okay.
But you said typically, like in your world, the machines do that one.
It calculates the automatic, yeah. So in our work, yeah, when you see like HC, BPD, it automatically adds the OFD on there. We don't have to do it. This machine makes you do it. So if Shay wants you guys to do it, then you have to do it on this machine.
Thank you.